But when they looked up, the stone had been rolled away. Happy Resurrection Sunday, everybody. We are live. Welcome back to the Golden Boot Podcast. It's your boy Pooh Bear. I got my man Aunt Petty Murphy, Daniel D. Williams in the building, and none other, the man himself, Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, everybody. How's everyone this evening?
Happy Easter. Let's go.
I'm good, bro. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Good to see you,
Yeah.
man. That's great. Pooh Bear, I love your camera. D Dub, that camera's looking great.
Thank you,
And
sir.
looks like he is in an interrogation room. So blink twice if you're okay. All right.
And you know he's snitching too. You know he's snitching.
But God say thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
Hey, thank you for coming on. Thank you
Yeah.
for
Yes, sir.
adjusting your schedule for us, and we appreciate it. First off, fellas, let's get going. First off, we got the National L Club Spring Game. It's coming up April 23rd. What are you guys looking for?
Go ahead. We'll let the guest start it. Go ahead, Carl.
Go ahead.
So I got to start, man. That's a lot.
Put you on the spot.
My goodness gracious. So obviously, most spring games are, they're just spring games, right? Well, the first thing obviously is Brian Kelly announced that it's going to be offense versus defense. So you're not going to have like the different squads split up like you would normally see it. So that to me is the most newsworthy thing. Once again, it is also at 1 p.m. This is a question that I get the most. What time is the actual spring game? I believe it's at 1 p.m. I might be wrong about that. But that is obviously, the big story. And then, the even bigger story is the quarterback room, right? Who is going to play with which unit and how are the snaps going to get divvied up? So obviously that's just a very Cliff Notes version of the two biggest stories. But guys, there's obviously a lot to break down. That's why I'm here, man, to learn from you guys, to learn from all your lovely viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said, Carter. The quarterback position is what everybody's going to be keeping an eye on. But I think we also need to look at the defensive side of the ball and see,
Right.
all the newcomers we have in on that side of the ball, the new coaching staff. What's Mike House's defense going to look like? What is the secondary going to look like? I know we've seen a lot of questions in practice about the secondary. What's the defensive line going to look like? Who's going to emerge in the linebacker room? I think really on both sides of the ball, there's a ton of questions, and I think there's more questions than answers at this point.
Yeah, I think for me, man, honestly, I'm looking forward to what the defense is going to look like. Looking forward to see Alec Gay. I want to see, is he going to be standing up? Is he going to be with his hand down? Of course, everybody wants to see the quarterbacks. And I honestly do believe that the quarterback battle will probably continue until the fall. Just my opinion, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to seeing the trenches battle, O line versus D line. Of course, hopefully D line will stay, but I'm looking forward to see the progress those guys has made, and also I want to check out the running backs. With of course we'll get into that later, but with our running back going down, I want to see what Trey Bradford can do. Hopefully, but yeah.
Hey, so I know we talked about, and quarterback is kind of the biggest battle that everyone talks about. Outside of quarterback, what position battles are y'all looking
Outside of quarterback, I think I'm gonna go with the secondary, the cornerback position and the safety position. I know a lot of us assume that Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché are going to be the starters at safety, but with some of the question marks we have on the boundary with Greg Brooks, being seeing some time at the outside corner slot, I'm really interested to see how they play with that secondary.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's such a good point right there. I hope everything's great. I hear like I don't know what that is. It sounds like
Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the background of Pooh Bear.
Please forgive. Please forgive.
Pooh Bear about to throw the remote at somebody's head.
Oh my god, that is so great.
I listen. Last week it was a mosquito, so
I didn't know
it's
if that was
okay.
It sounded like a velociraptor having sex with an albino walrus. Like it sounded like if that was an actual thing. It's I was like, what is that? That's
Oh my goodness.
I love this show already, man.
That's
No, to go along with Ants, that's what makes live broadcasting so great. Like you never know what's actually going to happen. But to go along with what Ant said, I feel LSU's biggest issue, and I'm interested what you guys have to say about it, has been the explosive play battle, right? LSU's defense giving up too many explosive plays, and Max Johnson not hitting on deep throws when the opportunities were there for the taking. So obviously, with what we've seen up to this point, I feel like all four of the quarterbacks have taken steps forward when it comes to the vertical passing game. Now, it does help out that the wide receiver play has been better, and I've heard you talk about this, and I preach this on my channel all the time. I love me some North Louisiana Tigers, and
yes,
obviously,
sir.
I think outside of the quarterbacks, because quarterbacks always is going to be the big story, the biggest objective development and probably the most definite development that we've seen that some people projected, but some people didn't. Maybe you did, Ant, because you do love your North Louisiana Tigers. It's been Will Campbell. It's rare for a true freshman to step in and, just really like clear cut, he's the guy. I mean, we saw it with Pat Pete, we saw it with Tyron and a few other greats. It's really hard to do. So for me, as far as the spring game is concerned, that's going to be great. But to me, the biggest story up to this point has been Will just playing so unbelievably well. I'm interested what you have to say, Daniel.
Yeah, honestly, I made a statement a couple of weeks ago whenever we were hearing that Will Campbell was actually playing good ball. Rarely do you ever want an offensive lineman to come in, especially a freshman, to come in and be a starter. You kind of want those guys to probably come in within their second year, maybe third year, and contribute just because of the maturity, right, and the physicalness of the game. But from what we heard, Will Campbell is out there dominating, and he came to play. He looks the part, mentally, physically, he's ready to go. So if he can come in his first year and contribute and hold down that side and keep our quarterback upright, I'm all for it.
Love it.
I just want to say, I said this a couple of weeks ago. I'm looking forward to Will Campbell, and I was told, no, we don't want a freshman starting that.
Hey, look, as the North Louisiana guy, I will say that he's shocked even me. I didn't expect him to come in this early and be this dominant. I figured that he was capable of playing early and if he had to start here or there this upcoming season. But if you would have asked me, would he be going into the spring game, would he be the starting left tackle on the team? There's no way I would have told you yes. So even as the resident North Louisiana homer, he's even exceeded my expectations. And so I'm glad to see him down there making his name for himself. But I kind of agree with what Daniel was saying. Like, you don't really want a freshman to come in and start at left tackle, but the fact that he's capable of coming in and being a left tackle starter is everything LSU needs.
Right. Shout out to the Lioness. Hold up. Shout out to the Mountain Lionesses in the chat.
Cool girl. Hey, but I think Casey Thibodeau brings up a pretty good point. As far as she said, I'm sorry. It says shows how soft and okay, you can read. All right, but and guys, I mean, we've had guys that have been on that offensive lineman that unit that came in maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they still haven't touched the field yet. So it does kind of bring into question as far as the development, and not only that, the toughness. We've been waiting to see a lot of those guys spark. And the fact that Will Campbell is coming in and pushing to be a starter, man, hey, if that was me in that offensive lineman group and I'm not getting any PT because of a freshman, I'm not sleeping at night.
Let me ask you this though: can we say that it's an indictment on the development of them guys, or is it more so the caliber of guys that was brought in under the last regime? You know what I mean?
Honestly,
You don't have a Will Campbell that last regime. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, so I don't if I'm not mistaken, one of the reasons, and I know he became the scapegoat, but one of the reasons James Craig was even kind of, I guess you could say, on the hot seat, warm seat or whatever, they were saying
Tristan
that
Lee.
he could, yeah, with Tristan Lee thing, but they were saying he was, I guess, wasn't developing the players. He could recruit them, but he
Right.
wasn't developing. I think that's kind of, or the rumor mill. You know, Joe Brady mentioned that to Ed. So I wonder if that goes to the point of, you know, as you mentioned, Daniel, those guys that came in, you know, a few cycles ago
Yeah.
that have not played.
yeah. I would also. I mean, Carter, you got. Go ahead, brother.
No. I
Oh.
think one thing that's very key though is James Craig was so bad at just allowing unblocked blitzers to run straight through the line, right? I mean, especially in 2020, that was just unacceptable. How many free shots, and it didn't help that TJ and Max, they were true freshman quarterbacks playing behind that line. And the one thing I thought Brad Davis did a good job of last year was not allowing as much unblocked pressure. Now, there were still quite a bit, but it got better as the season moved on. And I think, to Will playing so well has made the other guys step their game up, right? There's nothing quite like a fresh-faced true freshman who is an early enrollee. I mean, this is a guy who should be getting ready for prom right now, right? And he is from Monroe, so prom, he's getting ready to go to Applebee's. And
Right.
the thing is,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I hate Applebee's, by the way.
Yeah, I see. I grew up
Shots
in a small
fired,
town.
bro. Shots fired.
No. Here's a funny thing is, okay, North Louisiana, I promote them all the time. You got to throw a few shots in there every now and then. But the truth is, whenever someone that young is playing so well, it is one of those things where if you are older and you are able to go buy a beer, and that guy might not even be 18 or 19 years of age yet, that makes you look in the mirror and say, okay, I have got to get my act together. I've got to start playing well. And you've seen that. I feel Marcus Dumerville is starting to play a little bit better. I feel Cardell Thomas is starting to play a little bit better. And those guys got a little bit of snaps towards the end of the year. And I do think it has helped rise the play of this group. So I do think that's, very important to keep in mind as well. And obviously how that group actually lines up is still yet to be seen.
I know that I think I mentioned it either on your show, Carter, or on when you're on with Blake, about having Brad Davis actually be there for more than just the first 2 months. It's starting to show. Those guys are starting to come around and everything else. Just a quick update: the Pels are down 15. With about 40 seconds left in the first.
We
But
good.
Right. Not to watch your mouth.
he's
Not to
saying
mention what somebody, I forgot who it was. I saw a comment earlier, but the strength and conditioning, what I mean, for the offensive line this year should be greatly improved. So I think that would also make a big difference in the play of the offensive line.
Yeah. Hey guys,
Yeah,
real
that's
quick,
right there.
please like and share. Go ahead and drop your comments. And once again, guys, thank you for joining us in the live chat. But hey, to go along with what Carter was saying, and Carter, I want to say you have probably one of the best laughs that I've ever heard.
Life is about having fun, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But now I would say, and you mentioned earlier about, those guys in the offensive lineman, you can't say that they're not talented. Marcus Dumerville is definitely talented.
Yeah,
We've seen what
absolutely.
Cardell Thomas can do. So it's not, I don't think it's lack of talent. Like you said, I think it's development with us having Brad Davis, get into these guys and really spend one-on-one time with them and trying to see them develop. I think we're going to get there. I think these guys, hopefully Cardell Thomas, I'm rooting for him.
That's good,
I'm rooting
man.
for
Oh
him.
yeah, I definitely think we'll get there too. But I do think that there is something to the fact that the quality of offensive linemen and also the quantity of offensive linemen brought in under the last regime, wasn't up to par with where it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look at my sister, y'all. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, so as we know, help is on the way. Somebody forgot to tell Brian Kelly that he can't recruit. We got Mr. Michael King Darty commitment this week, and then right after that, Ryan Yates. Thoughts? I mean, because everything we've been told, he can't recruit. He's not a culture fit. He's not going to work down here.
Hey, I just want to say that the
family.
Corey Raymond is DBU narrative needs to quit now.
Thank you.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Guys, look, we got to get a man some kind of respect. Like what he did for us in the past.
Oh no, it's not any shade to him. I'm just saying that LSU had great DBUs before Corey. They had them while Corey was here, and they will continue getting them when Corey leaves because LSU has a track record of producing high quality DBs. Right. And the fact that Corey Raymond is gone, don't get me wrong, he did a good job while he was here. But there was a narrative that when he left, we will no longer be able to get guys like Darty and Yates and bring the Terrence Welch, those kind of guys. So the fact that we are starting to pull those guys when he's not here, I need the people who were fear mongering and the world is ending when he left to be just as loud and give Brian Kerry Cooks and Steeples their credit for bringing in high quality talent, just like they would if it was Corey Raymond bringing them guys in.
Yeah, I agree. I to add on to that, right? Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu were before Corey Raymond, right? And I think that's a very important. Like Corey started in 2012, and obviously Tyrann didn't play that year. The truth is the reason why defensive backs come to play at LSU is because of Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson, right? They made
LaRon Landry and all them guys.
Yeah, I mean those guys just made it really cool to be an LSU DB. It's not just the fact that they were great; they had a style, they had big personalities. I was fortunate when I was at LSU; I got to know Patrick pretty well. Like I was just starting in media, and he always treated me so well, and he always knew that I was like young and kind of nervous and all that stuff. So I'm always very impartial to those two players in particular, but it was kind of strange, right? They both got so big when YouTube, ironically, started becoming big. And that was when the Highlight Society started going. And those two are like the two most thrilling defensive backs you'll ever see. And not just like on punt returns, but on defense. So the cool thing is those highlights don't go anywhere. So all these high school kids and even offensive players, Jack Besh told me that Tyrann Mathieu is like one of his favorite LSU players of all time. They don't even play the same position. So, Tyrann coming back, recruits see that. And Tyrann, giving money back, that is just never going to change. Yeah. So even when LSU loses, and look, Corey Raymond was a fine defensive back coach, Daniel, and I don't think anyone would disagree with that. And I think he's actually going to do really well in Florida because that's where he's.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't do well.
Yeah. I hope not. But he did such a good job recruiting Florida while he was here. Right, so for me, I just think that LSU made Corey Raymond more so than vice versa. That's not saying Corey wasn't great, but these two commitments early in the process lets you know that LSU is still DBU, and we're all LSU fans here, but it's just the truth. It is the place to go to play defensive back.
Okay. I say just to play devil's advocate, let's get them on the field. Let's see what they can do. In a year or two, we can come back. We can revisit the conversation, or even next season. At the end of the season, we can see how well those guys have been developed.
Right. So are you worried about the secondary, Daniel, moving forward without Corey?
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I just want to. Of course, we're bringing in a guy who is not of the LSU lineage, and I just want to see what he's about. So I just want to see how our DBs develop. And not only that, I want to see that toughness again. I want to see that swagger. The last two seasons, we haven't seen that. The guys really look confused. So,
I think it was more than just the last 2 seasons, to be honest.
Yeah.
2019 winning covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah,
And
that is true.
if you go look at 18, there were times I can look back at their games where I thought that was a play call, doing DBs doing this, throwing their hands in the air like confused. I thought that was a play call. So, but yeah, but I get what you're saying, Daniel.
Yeah. And then you make a really good point, right? So Robert Steeples is a new corners coach, and this is his first time, being just a corners coach. Now he's a very talented coach. He's one of the fastest risers you'll ever see in the industry. And then you also bring in Kerry Cook. So obviously what's kind of scary is, everyone here knows it, players over coaches. The one thing to keep in mind is this is a 1 year where the secondary doesn't have one of those dudes where you look at him and like, okay, that's a future first round pick.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it's kind of a scary thing. It's a very uncharted territory for us LSU fans because we've had at least one of those guys
at
in the
times,
secondary.
2 or 3.
Yeah, more often, perfect. More often than not, 2 or 3 at the very least. And there are some really, really good players in that secondary, right? Obviously, the 2 Arkansas transfers, Brooke and Joe, are going to be really good players. But, and Bernard Converse is going to be ready to go. He's all Big 12. But, as far as like just a ridiculous high upside of, the Stingleys, Petersons, and Delpits, there's just not any of them. So that's going to be kind of the thing. Who's going to step up and be that next great DB?
Well, let me ask you this. Sage Ryan had all of that hype that some of those guys had coming out. Derek Davis had that same hype coming out. So I don't know if it's fair to say we don't have that guy. I just think that we haven't seen that guy on this team yet. You get what I'm saying? So
we still haven't seen Langlois either.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys who have the potential to be that type of guy that y'all are talking about. We just haven't seen anyone on this team show that they can be that.
Right. And I agree with you on that. Like, the thing is, it's that thing. Like, every year we've had someone that has proven, like, we've had an All-American as either freshman or whatever. I think what's really interesting, though, is LSU has a lot of these strong safety nickel type of players, right? Yeah. So, obviously that's Joe's best role being a box safety. That's obviously Greg's best role being a box safety and a nickel. Sage mostly played nickel. What's going to be very interesting is who is going to be the free safety, who's going to be the deep safety that keeps everything in front of you. So on my channel,
I think it's Major. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. And Daniel, I really hope so because we did a film study on Jaray's long touchdown during the scrimmage yesterday. We didn't have anybody back deep. And I doubt there was a pass coverage where we want Jaray one-on-one on a post versus Jordan Tolles. Yeah. I don't think any defensive coordinator is ever going to call that. So, who's going to be the guy that's going to be the free safety, the Eric Reed, John Battle, right? Even though John Battle's not some elite guy, he played that deep role, and that allowed Grant to do what he could do in the box. So we've got to find that guy.
You don't think it could be like, I know he mentioned Burns, but you don't think Jay Ward could be that guy?
Well, that's what's very interesting. So on the deep touchdown to Jaray, Jay Ward was the guy that they had in the box. So I found that to be unbelievably fascinating, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe Jay Ward. Let me ask you this. All right, I'm gonna start with Dan. Mm-hmm. Would you switch Jay Ward to corner? Would you switch Jay Ward back to corner? Would you keep him at safety?
I would keep him at safety. The reason why I would do that is because I like a safety with great ball skills and great instincts. Right. I think Jay Ward has that ability. I would keep him there.
I think I agree with you, Daniel. I like a safety that has that range and is able to take those, get interceptions and stuff like that. But with the lack of depth we have at true corner, boundary corner, I think for this season, I would be okay with moving him back. But I don't think there's a wrong answer to that question.
Yeah.
So here's my argument. we keep, if Jay Ward is going to be safety, make him safety. I'm good with that. But we keep taking safeties and moving them to cornerback. We put Sage Ryan at corner. We put
I think he can play
Jordan
nickel.
Toles. We put Jordan Toles at corner. Why not just move the actual cornerback, who also is good at safety, back to corner? That's my only argument.
Yeah,
I think Sage is a nickel corner. I think that's what he does best. You know what I mean?
So.
Now Toes, I don't know about that.
I think I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Jordan Toes is barbecue chicken whenever you're looking at cornerback. I think that you need to put him at safety because no wide receivers gonna be looking at him and they're gonna be.
He was making plays at last spring at safety.
Yeah, I think he's a safety. I don't think he's a cornerback.
Now I will say if we get Sevyn Banks, then there's no need to. There you go, Blake. There's no need to move him. There's no need to move him at that point.
Yeah. What do y'all think about Sevyn? What do y'all think about Sevyn?
Man, hey, when he's healthy, he's legit.
Right.
My question is, can he stay healthy?
Right. Yeah. Blake and I talked about him. I got to meet Blake this weekend. It's kind of strange. Like I talked to you guys in the spaces, and I've gotten to know pretty well. Anna has one of my favorite Joe Burrow cards. I should have never given it to you, but it is interesting, right? So Sevyn Banks has a lot of college football playoff experience.
Yes.
Now, it's been varying degrees of success, but I'll say this: Georgia got Darian Kendrick in the portal this last year, and he was barbecue chicken in the college football playoff versus the best receivers. I mean, Jets tore him up. Terrace got him, and then obviously Ohio State got him the next year. But Kendrick was lights out in this playoff. So my point is Sevyn Banks has a lot of that championship experience, and that can do so much to a locker room, right? That can raise a level. That guy knows what it takes to, get to that point, right? And just getting one of those guys in that room does a lot. As far as experience. Now, obviously, he had a bad hip injury, but it's worth the risk at this point. LSU really does need corners.
I agree.
So to flip it to the opposite side of the ball, we got to help. Help is on the way on that side as well, but help was already there. In Nick Storrs returning to the field. A lot of people know that name from the baseball side. Yes, and Welsh and Allen also coming in the fall.
Yeah.
But on the offensive side with Nick Storrs, I know that a package was drawn, was supposedly, in place for him with the last regime. They were saying he was coming around. He was looking like he could be the answer for tight end. I don't know, Carter, if you've seen much of him. And your thoughts?
Yeah, I like Nick a lot. I really do. We did a whole film study on him 2 days ago, just from what he did in practice. Nick can move people, right? I mean, he's got some real oomph when it comes to the blocking game. Number one, also he's a really good special teamer. So he's a good guy when it comes to wedge kickoff return as one of the block guys. There, it goes a long way. The second thing, obviously, is I think Nick Storrs coming into the tight end room, which, is the thinnest tight end room probably in the SEC right now, is also a philosophical thing, right? So LSU last year ran more 10 personnel, which is no tight ends. Well, Brian Kelly, out of all the non-Power 5 teams, was top 10 in the country when it comes to 12 personnel, which is 2 tight end formations, right? Mike Denbrock also ran a lot of 2 tight end formations. So a big piece of who they are as play callers is 12 personnel formations where you do have 2 tight ends. And there's so many different variations of what you could do out of it. So, getting just an extra tight end, a body in there just goes a long way. Right. And once again, Nick, there was a block he had on Savion Jones where he legit lifted him off the ground. It was filthy. And we all know Savion Savian's an animal. right? And he got Quincy a few times in a few drills. Once again, it's an extremely small sample, and actually doing it in games is different. But he does have game experience, so I'm happy that he's back. I'm happy that he's hungry. I'm not saying he's George Kittle. I don't know if he can catch, but just the fact that there is another warm-blooded mammal in that room that has played some tight end goes a long way, especially knowing that BK and Mike Denbrock are going to want to run more 12. Now, one more thing about that is Cole Taylor is not a great blocker. He's gotten better, but it's not his thing. So it does add to, alongside with Jack Mashburn, some good smash mouth tight ends to that room.
Yeah. I think also having those tight ends that can be able to go out and catch passes just makes your offense that much better. That way, whenever those tight ends are coming in, the defense is like, oh, we know what's going to happen. Being able to have those guys that can go out, run excellent routes, and not only that, hit you in the mouth whenever it's time to run the ball. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Dylan Gordon was so underutilized in his time
like that.
at LSU. I hated it. Man, I hated it. He was one of my like favorite players when during his time.
He was the dog.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a great mentality. I loved it.
Yeah. So, because I don't want to stretch this out too much, but during the Mettenberger's last game, the Arkansas game, when LSU got the ball back, Anthony Jennings at the 1, Dylan Gordon caught the pass to get them out of the shadow of the end zone and start that drive going. So that's one. Kind of move along, and we can kind of probably start wrapping this up, Carter. You did a breakdown that you posted probably about an hour or so ago about Miles bringing his deep ball and talking about kind of that play of Jure beating up on
Jordan Toes.
Yeah. In there, I know one thing you pointed out was the kind of unique formation with Cole Taylor. They basically had him. He was in as tight end, but he was ineligible to go out. Yeah. So that was really interesting. Everyone out there, go check it out.
Yes.
And
Carter, he the best in the business.
Yes, Carter can definitely explain a lot better than I can. But it was something that was before coming on and doing the show, I was watching. I was like, wow, the stuff that you notice, the coaches. Again, that play call was there.
Yes. I was hoping you were going to say that.
I was watching it, and my man Carter noticed the footwork of Jordan Toes when he was flipping his hips and how he placed his feet the same way both times he got burnt. That's the kind of knowledge you get when you watch this man's show. So y'all go check him out, bro. He's really the best. He's the best when it comes down to breaking down LSU's film. He's the best out there.
Okay.
Well, I always say this. I'm not those coaches. Those guys know 10 times more about football than me. So I just do my best, right, to do the best breakdowns I possibly can. I love me some Carter Sheridan, right? So he is the assistant wide receiver coach. He is like the most energetic guy. And before Miles even threw the ball, it was so cool seeing him and Cortez Hankton already pointing, towards the end zone. That stuff gave me chills. And what was really cool was on the blown coverage, you saw Matt House already putting his hands up in the air. There's nothing just like that's why I was hoping you did that. But yeah, it's fun, right? Mm-hmm. It's fun breaking this down, and I say this all the time. And just looking at the comments of your viewers, it's only for diehard LSU football fans. If you're one of those people that just shows up on Saturday, 3 hours before the game, crushing 2 Bud Light, still looking for parking, this isn't
2.
Exactly. But the channel is not for those kinds of people.
Yeah,
it's for people that love really diehard LSU football stuff. Us maniacs talking about this sport during the spring. We love it so much.
Yes,
but yeah, it's very interesting, right? It's such a strange time as an LSU football fan with all the different transition and stuff like that. But it's also really exciting because you have all these different channels, all these different ideas, and these different frameworks of where the program could go next. So it's good seeing you guys launching your stuff, and I'm glad to be a part of it. This is cool.
We appreciate you, bro. We appreciate you.
Corey, we thank you. Before I let you go, I gotta ask you a question.
No, take your time, man. If the Pelicans are getting blown out, I don't care. So I thought that they were probably going to get blown out because Chris Paul is still, like, to me, just unreal. But yeah, go on ahead, take your time. No rush to see our guys getting destroyed.
All right. So spring game visitors. There are a lot of names, big names starting to pop up. Two that kind of, and I think so last week during our call, Ant called out, Notre Dame media because their obsession with Brian Kelly and
right.
I'm just going in Will Smith's terms, keep my coach name out your mouth.
Yeah.
But it didn't start with the media. So it was announced that Dante Moore and Carnell Tate will be coming to LSU for their spring game, for LSU spring game, and not Notre Dame. And that kind of reignited things with with Notre Dame fans this time. So before we touch on it, this is how I imagine most Notre Dame fans are sitting right now. That may actually be Ed Orgeron holding the picture, but that's how I imagine most Notre Dame fans are right now.
I love it, man.
But
you make such a great point. You make such a great point, right? Look, Notre Dame fans are just still salty about this, right? And I totally get it, right? Brian Kelly basically told them you're not good enough. And
yeah, pretty much.
We've all been in relationships before where the other half says you're not good enough, and they move on to someone else. Yeah.
Hey, that's crazy because look, on the last show, that's what I said. They're the person who the ex-girlfriend leaves them, and they have a new chick, but you still worried about what your ex is doing. But
it's like the guy looking over his shoulder.
If your new chick is so much better, then why you worried about your ex? You know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly.
But where it really gets nasty is now you have the ex of the ex. Now you got both of the ex trying to link together. Yeah. That's weird.
But see, then they some Notre Dame fans were talking about how Marcus Freeman's a better recruiter than Brian Kelly because they have the number one class in the country next year, blah, blah, blah. Then, like, the next day, they get a kid decommitted from
committing. Exactly. I mean,
so that's what I mean. Like, recruiting is way too fluid for y'all to be trying to, get prop up this number one recruiting class that has 8 now, has 8 commits in it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
But honestly, look, if I'm Marcus Freeman, you bring Ed Orgeron in, I'm gonna try to get Ed Orgeron on my coaching staff. Just that's what I'm gonna do. If I don't think I can recruit that well, even if I do believe that I can recruit, we know Ed Orgeron is one of the best in the game, right?
Let me ask you this before you even get started.
Yep. I was gonna be petty, so I'm gonna stay out of this.
there's a quality, higher institution of higher learning like Notre Dame. Hire one Ed Orgeron to be on their staff.
How bad do you hate Brian Kelly now?
What is the ratio of blondes to brunettes on campus? That's probably I
don't think, bro. I don't think that they're gonna hire Ed O just because they don't like Brian Kelly. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but I don't think it's a bad coaching hire either way.
Yeah, but to me, that just proves
the baggage.
But that just proves that LSU is in Notre Dame's head if you do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You're kind of just proving that point. And the second thing, okay, it's not, once again, Ed Orgeron did not do anything nefarious like Urban Meyer, okay?
That's true.
But is the Ed Orgeron of now in the prime of his career?
It's the image of it. It's the image of what he is too, though. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not that he did anything bad, but It's the image of what he is now. You get what
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying?
he just won a national championship 3 years ago.
Exactly. But
Hey,
sometimes
but what is like when you mention Ed Orgeron, that's not what comes in people's minds now. What comes in people's
exactly.
minds now is the spring break video. It's him on the beach with the blondes. All that comes up in people's minds before the national championship.
Yeah, and that is exactly it. And that might for instance, is he one of the best defensive line coaches of all time? Yes. Is he one of the best recruiters of all time? Yes. Is he one of the best motivators of all time? Yes.
It's
But
a lot
that
of
doesn't
yeses.
mean that's who he is right now, right? This
That's a good point.
look, this team was coached. The only reason Ed is not the coach right now of LSU is because of Ed,
Yeah.
right? It was his decision to run man coverage on nearly every snap defensively, which, led us to Bo Nix looking like Johnny Manziel, led to Dorian Thompson Robinson looking like Joe Namath out there. It,
Yeah.
it led to us losing a lot of games, right? So, we all love Ed. I would love Ed to do, great things in his future. But just because you're not the same coach now that you could have been then, right? And I don't know if a school handed me $17 million, I'm riding off into the sunset, baby. I'm staying in Cancun. I'm not.
But hey, I say
Unless
this
you
though.
love the game.
If he coaches again, I can see him at Miami where he was
Yeah.
before. You know what I mean? Before going to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Plus, no,
And
he
it's
ain't
there
gonna. He ain't
now,
gonna want. That too. His son being there too, but he ain't gonna want to go to Indiana, man. You know what I
I'm
mean? He gonna want to go to the beaches of Miami, bro.
exactly.
So and this is the irony of it all. When you talk about fits, that's one place he does not fit.
Exactly.
And
Terrible fit.
that is the one place.
Yeah,
Hey,
That'd be a nasty
offensive,
combination.
offensive and
We
defensive
won't-
lines would be stacked.
we
be
would not
stacked.
be able to keep Roe out of the spaces at all. Be in every space telling us, hey, let me tell you about Ed O. I don't care, Roe.
Hey, but Ed O ain't got nothing on Burton Burns though.
But hey,
Burton Burns.
Who is that?
Pooh Bear, you did make a really good point, right?
Mhm.
There are going to be a bunch of recruits at the spring game, right? But I'm glad you brought up Dante Moore. Okay, that's a big story.
Yeah.
This recruitment is huge, right? So once again, there's only a finite amount of quarterbacks out there, especially elite quarterbacks. And 2023's got a lot of them, right? So Arch Manning, obviously the biggest. I believe it's you, Ant, that's a big Ricky Collins guy. I am as well.
Yeah, I like Ricky.
He's moving up the ranks. He's committed to Purdue, but obviously, if LSU pursues, I think he would seriously look at that. But to me, the Dante Moore is LSU's guy. I mean, I think they've kind of zeroed in, especially now that this Christopher Vazina guy that they were looking at commits to Clemson. So when these 2023 quarterbacks commit, they do commit earlier. Quarterbacks do commit earlier to get their one slot. To prevent another quarterback from going to a place that you might want to go to. So, Dante might want to lock this up early before his final season in Michigan. So, Pooh Bear, you make such a good point. I didn't even think about that, tonight, how big of a commitment that would be, especially considering Notre Dame has centered their entire 2023 class around it. That's not me saying it. Their coaches last night put Dante on their Instagram story. Marcus Freeman did, their offensive coordinator did, their quarterback coach did. They are all in on getting Dante Moore. And to let you know how Notre Dame fans are infatuated about this, my channel has been getting a bunch of spam comments from accounts. There was one that said Dante Moore is for sure going to Notre Dame. And I pressed him. I was like, how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know what any kid's going to want? Just immediately. And you don't, right? This kid is still trying to decide where he wants to go. So the fact that he is choosing the LSU spring game lets you know that he is very interested that he would come. And for those that don't know, he's a top 10 national recruit, a top 5 quarterback, and it would be a seismic pickup that LSU could get.
Let me say this too, though. All those reasons you mentioned is very important in that regard. But I also think it's important because it shows us the type of quarterback that Brian Kelly wants at LSU. If you look at the type of quarterback that Dante is, Walker Howard's that same type of quarterback. They're mobile, they can get out the pocket, and RPO game is really what they're good at and stuff like that. So I think not only stealing him away from Notre Dame would be huge, and getting the quarterback in this class, a top 10, all those things you mentioned would be huge. But the fact that we see what type of quarterback Brian Kelly wants at LSU, I think that says a lot about, for going forward, the type of quarterbacks that we will be after in the future.
Yeah, I love it, man.
The scary part of all this, Brian Kelly's doing, the recruiting and stuff is going out there. We've gotten Georgia, Missouri, Florida. Isn't that where Yates from, Florida?
And we got he's in Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
No.
We hadn't even started in Louisiana yet.
Hey, we got one.
I had a question.
Yeah. North Louisiana again. I knew it was coming.
Louisiana,
I knew it
baby.
was coming.
Yes, sir. You already know, baby.
So-
Omarion Miller, I ain't letting y'all forget.
Yeah, of course. Of
love
course.
it.
Well, let me ask you guys, does that kind of concern you guys at all? I know we're early in the process of the 2023.
That excites me.
Yeah.
If you, because, and I'm not saying you put the Louisiana kids on the back burner, but you don't have to be at the same pace to go after the Louisiana kids that you do a kid that's out of state. In my opinion, out of state, you hit them early, kind of fast and often. Louisiana, it's easier to get you here to campus. It's easy to talk to you. I love it. I'm excited.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this: who's your guy in 2023? Okay, take Arch out of it. Who's that guy? Who's that guy that just you're like, okay, this would be massive in Louisiana that are like,
you already know, bro. You already know. Shout out Sean Fox. I'm going with Trey Holly in the Union Parish Farmers, baby.
Trey Holly.
Trey Holly, baby.
So and I might get I know not Aunt Chris. He's listening and he's watching and he's probably gonna be mad. I say this. I'm not that big on Arch.
Neither am I.
Me neither.
I think Arch is good.
I think
he has the
Holstein's
pedigree.
better.
Yeah.
I think Holstein's better, honestly.
But
right now I do.
I think that Arch over time, we see the family. We know the family, dynamic, but I think it's the name that why he's so big. So Trey Holly is definitely the guy that
Trey Holly stands.
Yeah.
God, we're getting only Trey Holly. LG's got my guy. I'm a big Derek Williams.
Yeah, I like Derek
What's
Williams.
the guy? The Tackett guy, the linebacker. I want
Tackett Curtis.
I know
Tackett
yes,
Curtis.
I know it's far, but I want that guy.
Hey, he's a difference maker. He's a difference maker for sure. Hey, it's kind of interesting that no one mentioned Sheldon Sampson though.
I'm a Sampson guy too. So the way my three guys are Derek Williams, Shelton Sampson out of Catholic. I think he's really good. I do. Now, obviously LSU's youth at receiver is, it makes it a little bit easier just in case it doesn't happen, especially if you're an Ibieta believer. It does make it let's just say you don't land him, but I do think he's really good. And you know what? And I got to go back to North Louisiana, man. I'm buying Zalance stock.
Hey, that's my three. My three is Trey Holly number 1, Shelton Sampson number 2, Zalance Hurd number 3.
Holly number 1.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
Definitely.
like that, man.
Definitely.
You guys are not worried about Jordan Matthews though?
I'm gonna be quiet.
No,
I think he's a good player. I just don't know if he wants to stay in state.
Okay.
I hope they get him. Once again, I haven't really dove too deep. Like I've just watched like their huddle tape, up to this point. But I am a Zalance believer, and I think it'd be cool, him and Will on the same team again because they were high school teammates.
Yeah. If only they would have got the running back. If only they would have got the running back.
Oh, you're
AJ Allen, yes, sir. You are. Hey, I'm gonna forever beat on the table for AJ Allen, man. I'm gonna forever beat on the table for that kid. That kid should have got an offer.
Well, that's the hard thing about it, and that's the interesting thing about it as well. So we focus so much just on high school recruiting, but I think over time, guys, like the way we talk about recruiting is going to evolve. So,
Mhm.
for instance, one of my big guys in 2020 was, or 2021, excuse me, was Kobe Fields, right? That was a guy that I was like, okay, he's at Rummel. We know Rummel produces dogs, right? We know Kobe Fields is a plus athlete. The dude works hard. He works out with a lot of elite recruits, but he was a 3-star. But now with the transfer portal, a slot can
back.
open up, and
Yeah.
because of the 33 or the 32 limit, we're able to get Kobe Fields. He's looked great. Like Pauline has mentioned him as a key special teamer next year for LSU, and he's made some good plays just at linebacker. So I do think, let's just say Ajay Allen kills it somewhere, or AJ Allen, excuse me, kills it somewhere else. Who's to say that door can't open back out? The same thing is true with Trevante Citizen, or just anyone.
Yeah.
Or let's just say, once again, I'm going to start a firestorm. Just say Jacoby Matthews wants to come back home.
I know you was going to do it.
I know anytime you bring up his name, the world goes crazy. But now with the transfer portal, guys can always come back. So that does make it pretty fun.
Ironically, every time someone says Jordan Matthews or brings his name up, I'll keep thinking, didn't he sign with Texas A&M?
Oh yeah.
Because
Jacoby,
yeah, Jacoby, yeah.
All right, so guys, I want to step outside of LSU for a minute and go around college football. The D1 Council, who is looking at eliminating the number of official visits for recruits. I think they already do that in basketball, where they can take. I don't know if it's necessarily unlimited, but they're looking at eliminating the number of official visits. Good, bad, or indifferent.
To how many did they put
right now?
Right.
No, right now. So right now it's 5. The way it was reading,
it's almost like it's unlimited.
It's like it's unlimited. I don't know if they're going to put a cap on it or but thoughts.
I think 5 would be fair.
5 is what it's at now.
5 is what.
Yeah, I mean,
5.
I think you leave it. Why would you change that? These guys, whenever you're thinking about making a college decision where you want to play ball at, it's a life decision. You know what I'm saying? Your DNA is going to be wrapped in that program. You shouldn't limit that. We know that, I'm guessing the teams cover that, right?
No, I think you got it backwards, bro. They're trying to make it unlimited to where you can go to as many as you want.
Yeah, that's like
okay.
So
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm all for that. Make it unlimited.
I was about to say I agree with it. Simply, all right, let's just take a kid like, let's say AJ Allen, right? He would say he's, his junior year, he wasn't getting that many, colleges recruiting him. And when the college offers do start coming in, there are a bunch of, G5 type schools. So he takes 2 or 3 official visits there. Then midway through his senior year, he starts getting P5 offers. Well, now he can only take 2 official visits to these bigger schools. You send him but if he has unlimited, visits, then he can go to as many as he want when those bigger offers start coming in. So I think whenever you limit it to 5, you like someone mentioned in the comments, you're limiting his decision on where he can go, because he hasn't been able to do his due diligence on every school that's offered him.
Yeah, that's fair. You know who now's gonna like that? Dabo. He's gonna hate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Dabo doesn't like anything that changes anything about college.
Anything.
Yeah, I know at one time Michigan had a rule that if you were committed to them, you couldn't take any other official.
That's
visits.
how Clemson is.
That's how Clemson
is. Yeah. So that's yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you decommit from Clemson, like they'll pull you off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But I think in the world of NIL, I think that's going to change. He's going to have to change. I mean, Clemson.
Yeah. He ain't got to change, but he ain't going to be good if he don't change.
Exactly. You don't win another title in a couple of years.
He can stand on his convictions and become NC State or Virginia or somebody in the ACC if he wants to, or he can adapt with the times and stay where he's at. But either way it goes,
Oh man, that's a 12.
That man definitely.
Hey, with Brown stands.
This guy.
All right.
Y'all know I don't like that, bro.
Yeah, I don't get me started.
Little old Clemson.
So
Right.
the next thing I want to talk about, Texas A&M spring game was not this past, well, not yesterday, week prior, but footage and stuff has started to come out. Max Johnson,
This hurts.
So it's amazing what he does whenever he's allowed to run.
that was exactly my thoughts. I know. And I know with a spring game, it's hard to tell because you're not there. They're especially with the quarterback running, they're not going all out. They're not going to try to hammer him. They're not going to hit him. But he had some pretty good runs, and he had a pretty nice throw to like the back pylon on the end zone for a touchdown. And it's something that we talked about in Spaces. Max with Jimbo might be something that should give us cause for concern.
No.
Well.
So, Carter?
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm with Carter, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's not an indictment on Max, but I'm not scared of Jimbo.
Exactly. So here's the thing about Jimbo, right? He'll go to a college football playoff once he quits calling the plays, right? So
Okay.
what's Jimbo's not a great play caller, right? It's still in his head that Nick Saban once called him the best play caller. And look, I'm forever indebted to Jimbo for being an offensive coordinator on a national championship team. So there's always going to be a piece of us. And it's kind of weird in the SEC, like with Kirby and Jimbo and Nick, our three, the three other elites now. They all have LSU ties, right? So there's always a piece of you that's like, well, okay. But Jimbo's just not a great play caller anymore, right? The numbers prove it to be true. When he is on the road, his offenses don't know how to function. I'm not talking about just being good. They don't know how to function. They're awful. I'm talking less than 3-4 yards per play bad. That's Les Miles era, really bad. They also commit a lot of penalties. Jimbo's also archaic when it comes to fourth down decision making. And until you do those things, until you evolve, you're not going anywhere, right? Because you still got to play on the road. You still got to play away from College Station. And for me, I just think that's always going to hold Texas A&M back. Now, could there be a magical year where they have the absolute best roster and nothing is going to deny them? Yes, because they are starting to recruit at that top 5 national level consistently. So the talent can overcome that. The truth of the matter, though, is Max Johnson himself is also a limited quarterback. Now, once again, the spring game, la-di-da, cool, whatever. Still, Max, yes, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That's a good stat. But he also had more turnover-worthy plays that were lucky bounces away from being interceptions.
And the dude threw a pass like this.
Yeah, it's
true.
It was behind it. It was underhanded. But
it was terrible.
It was. I have never wanted to throw a remote at a TV so bad.
What?
That behind the back pass was.
He lost his mind.
So here's what I'll say. I know. Let's just say a Texas A&M fan is watching this. First off, I don't want to join your cult. Second thing,
you don't want to.
Here's a cool thing is like I actually went to the midnight yell. It was kind of cool for a second. And then I was like, when do you drink?
The views expressed by our guests.
But here's the thing. I was like, when do we start drinking the goat's blood?
Hey, so is it true that it's like all men in the woods just yelling and like
no, it was cool. I will say this. I like weird college football traditions. I like that, we used to STTDB. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. It's unique. It's unique to college football, right? The woo pig is probably the most annoying thing in the world, but it's unique. It allows us to, act like hooligans, right? It allows us to, release that energy. And look, I'm all for doing what you want to do, but I'll objectively say this: A&M's done a really good job recruiting the offensive, defensive lines. No doubt about it. They've done a good job getting elite 100, top 100 players. A lot of those guys convert to being really good football players. Give them a lot of credit there. They're getting better recruiting skill position guys. They also got Jordan Gilbert from Louisiana. I didn't like that. We moved too late. That's on us. But they've done a good job recruiting the secondary as well. So Texas A&M is doing some really good things. It's just when the play calling is not where it needs to be, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. As long as the head coach is in that way, you're never going to get over the hump. I mean, the numbers are really, really bad when Texas A&M is on the road, and we saw it. Every time they've come to Baton Rouge, they have never played well. They were a 6-point favorite. We were the far better team that night. That was our worst team. We were the far better team. So Jimbo is a fraud when it comes to play calling. And until A&M fans say that, now he's good at everything else. But that is such an important aspect of being in a college football championship coach, is getting out of your own mother effing way and allowing someone else to call the shots. So you got to get your ego out of the way for you to actually hoist that trophy.
Sir, you are preaching on this Easter evening, sir. You are preaching.
Wow.
Carter.
Yeah, Danny. Okay,
Carter, you drink fruity lime beer?
I'm a fruity beer guy. That's I'm not. I'm. What do y'all drink? IPAs that taste like a pine cone covered in tar? Is that?
I drink bourbon, sir.
It's y'all are bourbon
finest.
drinkers.
My mom watching its lives. I drink water.
Water.
Look, I'm a growing boy. Milk is my
That boy said milk.
Milk. Hey, but Carter, let me ask you this though. I know you said that Jimbo gets in his own way when it comes to calling plays. I can agree with you. What I can say, if he's able to keep his recruiting classes together and get those guys to mesh, when you're recruiting at the offensive level and the defensive line level that he's recruiting at, you can call any plays you want to. He has studs. If all those guys put it together and he coach them up, I don't care what you call. Look at Georgia. Their offensive play style is terrible. It's archaic. And they just have the best players when it comes to the offense. So I think if he can keep those guys together, I don't know, man.
No, I agree with you. They can have so much talent that they're able to overcome it.
Right.
But
I don't know if that's next year though.
Yeah,
no,
I don't know
next
year. But it really blew my mind. So I looked at this with open eyes, right? So when Jimbo was starting to get rumored for the LSU head coaching job, I went and looked at his play calling split. So I looked at his yard per play numbers, and it was crazy how bad they were, in particular on the road.
It's not 03 anymore, man.
Exactly. It was so unbelievably bad, and that's why they go 8-4 every year, right? Because you have to play some games on the road. You got to go away from Kyle Field, and they're very uncompetitively bad offensively. Now, a lot of that has to do with them not having an elite quarterback since Manziel. And
I was just about to ask you that.
I'll be the first to admit that. But is that guy Max Johnson? No.
Well, let me ask you this: Isn't Jimbo the quarterback whisperer? You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, that's what I've been hearing. You know what I mean? That when Max Johnson goes to Jimbo, because he's such a good quarterback whisperer, that Max Johnson will be a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the Jameis Winston that got him that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
He's been the only good one.
You know, I don't know what it is that got him that moniker, but Kellen Mond looked like the same quarterback for 16 years while he was at Texas A&M. All 16 years he was there, he looked like the same quarterback.
He looked lost.
And Zach Calzada didn't seem to me to have improved, took those, strides that you would expect whenever you have a quarterback whisperer coaching you. So, I mean, I don't, to Jimbo's credit, he did that.
Yeah, so
I mean, but how many of those guys turned EJ Manuel? No. Christian Ponder, no. You know what I mean? Like those guys didn't pan out. So just because they were drafted first round, I'm not going to give him credit for that.
Does
when they got to the
Jamarcus
next
fall
level-
under? Does Jamarcus fall under Jimbo?
Yeah,
I guess kind of.
I mean, 15 years ago. I mean, if you want to,
I'm just.
I get what you're saying though, but I mean, like,
yeah.
I don't know. Even if you gave him credit for Jamarcus, I don't know how. Like, I don't know how that correlates to today. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. And also something else is the West is just so much tougher than the East, right? I know someone, brought up Georgia. The thing that's really scary about the West, and this is something that LSU fans, I feel, need to realize about college football that makes it very different. And this is what makes college football really special and why, we have such a tight connection to the SEC, and we're so passionate about talking about all these other teams, is college football is the one sport that we have in major American society where your schedule really does matter. Like each and every week, who you play has a whole lot to do with who you are as a program. LGZ brought up, that was in the ACC, and that's true. We were talking about Dabo a minute ago. If Mario gets that thing going, the ACC is going to be stronger, but, still the ACC is the ACC, right? What makes the SEC West so scary right now is, Arkansas has their perfect coach that fits them. And they have two coordinators that have been there for 3 years and they really like where they are. They have Lane Kiffin, won 10 games at Ole Miss, which hadn't been done in forever. The SEC West is as deep and as talented as it ever has been. And that's not including the main guy that got the air raid started, which is Mike Leach. Now, he's not the main grandfather of it, but I mean, he is a big reason why it is what it is now. So, the West is just so daggum loaded. And that's why I think that play calling is so interesting because there's so many great play callers in this conference.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey guys, real quick, do us a favor in the comments, please like and share. Go ahead, like and share and comment. Thank you.
I'm gonna say this, then I want to move to the next topic unless y'all want to comment on it. The SEC West could be its own conference in NCAA, and I think they will still get two teams in the college football playoffs.
At 4 or 12.
I don't know if it matters.
Not at 4. Not at 4. I don't think. Not every year. Not every year. Like
12.
Maybe not every year,
So,
but
yeah, okay. Not at 12. At 12, I think you get 2 every year. Honestly. Because I mean, last year, just think about last year. If it was 12 last year, you would have had Arkansas. I mean, not Arkansas, Ole Miss and Alabama both make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's 12,
the year before you would have had Texas A&M and Alabama.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So if it's 12 or even 8, I think you get 2 in every year. But 4, I don't know about. You at least get 1 every year before.
All right.
Right.
So next topic, USFL. It is back. It is not the 90s, but USFL
80s.
is back. 80s, I'm sorry. Opening week so far, the last game for the evening has been postponed due to weather. But the 3 previous games have all been one possession games. Came down, at least the first 2 came down to the last play. Very entertaining. The rules, they've got some, mixture of college, pro, innovative rules. And you mentioned the innovation with the football having a chip in it for measurements and stuff. And I know we saw spring football kind of pick up, especially during, right before the pandemic with the XFL.
Right. Yeah.
And shoot, even HBCUs during, pandemic with their, spring football. So far, I like the product that's been put out.
Yeah. I watched I didn't watch any football today, but I watched yesterday. And I like some of the things. I didn't today.
I know you were at church all day.
But I watched I watched yesterday, and it was something like you mentioned, the football and the drone cam. I like that I like that concept, and it was good to see Skip Holtz, former Louisiana Tech coach, and his quarterback Jamar Smith get a W. And
Cool.
but I'm kind of like you, Pooh. I'm just glad to see spring football give us a kind of fulfill that thirst we have for year-long football. And the quality wasn't terrible. It was better than I thought it would be. And I think
Way better.
if they can put that product out, week in and week out, I think they'll be pretty good.
And let me ask you a quick question. You think Skip Holtz wear one of those big old face things? Hey, cause he be spitting on everybody when he be talking.
That's his
No,
daddy,
not the
man.
Skip, not Lou. Not Lou.
That's his
You
daddy,
talk
man.
about Lou.
He probably got what it's hereditary.
It's hereditary.
But hey, so one thing about
I'm a real big speaker.
But hey,
one
there
thing
was a lot of local guys in that league though. Cavante
Yeah.
Turpin, Chad Williams from Grambling.
Yeah.
There was quite a few local
That's
guys in
good.
there. So it was good to see some of them guys keep getting that chance to live out their dream of playing professional
man.
football.
they just started practicing 3 weeks ago. I found that out today. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, they had 3 weeks of practice, and I mean, for 3 weeks, they look good. Compared to and when I say they look good, I'm comparing this to not NFL, but I'm comparing this to AAF, XFL first time around, and then the XFL the second time around. And I think USFL and when the XFL, if it can come back with the same thing, same kind of what the momentum they had last time, I think it could be pretty good.
Right.
They actually had so one thing I know we talked about in Spaces, we were hoping about I know in the XFL they had the idea of like when there's a review, listening in, the referee talking to the review guy and them communicating back and forth. I didn't see any reviews, but when the referees were huddled talking about a penalty, the mic was live and you can actually hear. I don't know if people in the stadium hear, but on TV we could hear that discussion back and forth. Hey, this is this is what I saw. I have this, I have a clipping here. Oh, the pass down there is incomplete. Oh, okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so and that's kind of the conversation, and it was good to have that insight. So I enjoyed that part.
And real quick, I'm gonna give a big shout out to Derek Dillon. He plays for.
I was just about to say that.
He's a big fan of the show. So big shout out, man. Go out there and wreck it.
Yes, sir.
Wait. I've seen the USFL. I know we're not going to go 9-7. Legendary coach. What's his name? Come on, Jeff Fisher. I know he's a coach.
Oh yeah.
So you've got Jeff Fisher, Todd Haley, Skip Holtz.
That's so good.
Gosh, there was another. I can't think of the guy's name. His name is Kirby something. He was a running backs coach for Pittsburgh. It's a older black guy. He was a running backs coach for Pittsburgh, and him and Todd Haley used to coach together.
So is Derek Dillon in the league?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's so cool.
He plays for the Temple. He plays for the Bandits Temple.
Yeah, their game, of course, like I said, got postponed. So
Kevin Sumlin in the USFL.
That's the other name. Yes. Kevin Sumlin is in the USFL.
That is crazy. I guess Tampa is where all LSU receivers go now, and all LSU players go.
Isn't it? So I'm gonna say this.
That's so wild to me.
Isn't it crazy? There are 8 teams in the USFL. They probably have as many black coaches in the USFL as the NFL has.
I think they got more, but They got Jeff Fisher. They got Jeff Fisher, Larry Fedora, who coaches the Breakers.
Larry Fedora,
Skip Holtz, Kirby Wilson, Mike Riley, Todd Haley, Kevin Sumlin, and Bart Andrews.
Kevin Sumlin.
Pressure is really trolling in the comments.
I'm ignoring that. I don't know why producer keeps.
I'm not even paying attention to that.
I hope
he must be. He's going to win it. He might pressure. You must want.
Hey, I put it to you like this: if Miles Brennan wins the Heisman, I might be the happiest person alive because that means LSU probably like 12-0 or something like that.
Exactly.
I will be the happiest person alive.
Yeah. So moving from the USFL, NFL, the draft is around the corner, the 28th through the 30th of April. I think we all probably have the same answer for this, but let me ask: who do you think the first LSU player off the board?
Come on,
Stingley.
Come
Okay,
Any question?
second.
I mean, yeah.
So that I mean, it was just pretty much.
I mean, yeah. Next
the
question.
second player off the board is more of a debate. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I think it's gonna be Ed Ingram.
Yeah, I could see that. I think upside right there. Obviously, Ed was very inconsistent these last couple seasons, but when he was on, we were a different team.
Right, that boy made a name. That boy made a name for himself at the same. Him and Neil Farrell.
I would say Neil Farrell would probably be third or flop.
Yeah, Neil Farrell third. Yeah, I can see that.
He graded really high last year.
251 all day.
I'm going to give you the guy that I think is going to be a lot better than a lot of people think he will, and it is going to be Ty Davis Price. Here are a few things that I like about TDP. Number one, he's been a part of a championship team, and he played a lot on a championship team. Now, Ed did, Neil did as well, but he did it as a true freshman, and the moment wasn't too big for him, right? The second thing, obviously, is football IQ's through the roof. Pretty good in pass protection. Got a lot better at just reading cutback angles. The 4th and 1 run versus Bama that he almost housed was just a legendary run, and he's just a solid player. I think he's a little bit better an athlete than people give him credit for. And, I just think he's going to be a pretty decent pro. Now, obviously, the situation is going to be key. It would help if he gets like the Darrell Williams treatment and gets to be a backup at like a really good offense like Kansas City. That's going to, go a long way for his career. Plus, also, I just like TDP a lot. I mean, we use this term all the time, like haters and all this. TDP had real haters. People are ready to kick him out the door and put Corey Kiner as RB1. And all TDP did was just put the team on his back when we really needed him the most. When Max started to fall off a cliff, when Kayshawn got hurt. Once we got better blocking schemes, TDP just kept chucking away. So I'm really rooting for him. I know he's probably like RB30 on a lot of boards, but he's going to be a steal for somebody.
Yeah.
I'm going to say second or third. To the question that's up there, Danny. I'm gonna say either second or third. Yeah,
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna say late second, early third. But as far as the Damone Clark, I do think a team takes a shot on Damone Clark. Just because when he is healthy, we know that he's a surefire NFL player. If you look at in past years, somebody like Jalen Smith from Notre Dame, Jake Butt from Michigan. All of those players have been injured, and we knew that they probably were going to take a year or two before they could, see the NFL field, but they were still drafted. So I'm not saying he's going to get drafted high. I'm not saying he's going to get drafted day 1 or day 2, but I do think that some team will draft him and just, let him sit and recover and get healthy, and then, year 2, year 3, give him a shot then.
Right. I'm gonna go way back. Willis McGahee.
Yeah, that's way back, bro.
I don't see that count, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not as high on Damone Clark as some people may be, just because my style of linebacker, his coverage skills, and not only that, how hard whenever he meets a running back in a hole, does he make them second guess? And for me, he didn't show that. Yes, he's a tackling machine. But a lot of times, how many of those were tackle for losses? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, last year he had a great year. The year before that, we didn't want him on the field.
The year before that, Bo Pelini was the defensive coordinator. I'll just say that.
I know.
Ed Orgeron was the defensive coordinator, and Bo Pelini was the linebacker coach, right? Right.
I mean, I actually, yeah. So look. I'll say this. I am one of the few LSU fans that will admit that they did get the Butkus Award right. I know we were like going crazy that Clark didn't get the award over Nakobe Dean when it was clear Nakobe Dean was the best linebacker in college football, last year. Now Clark had better numbers and he had to carry us more than what Nakobe Dean did. But I mean, Dean is just unreal. But obviously Clark coming back and having the season that he did, we're all rooting for him. But Daniel, I see why your skepticism is warranted, right? It was a 1-year sample. And it was very interesting because early in his career, he was a situational pass rusher. So it's a very, very interesting thing.
Pooh Bear is funny. Tomatoes. That's what you give us.
Hey, our producer put that, not me.
Thank you,
yeah,
Carter.
Carter, let me ask you this. Do you think that a guy like Jeray Jenkins could have a career kind of like a Russell Gage?
Yeah.
Kirkland. Are you talking about John?
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, John Trey Kirkland. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I was about to get
my
excited.
bad.
I was like, yeah.
My bad.
I know
John Trey.
Jeray can.
Yeah, my bad. The wrong guy coming out this year. But John Trey, do you think he could have? Because he didn't get invited to the combine, but his pro day numbers were crazy. But he's a very good athlete. You know what I mean? He's once he does have the ball in his hands, he's he can do good things with it. So do you think that he's a guy who maybe has to work his way up through special teams, but when he does get a shot on the offense, he makes a name for himself?
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna switch your example just a little bit, right? Because Russell Gage's last year was really good. Okay,
yeah.
So he stepped in, was the number 2 guy in that 2017 offense, and they just didn't throw. Danny Etling was their quarterback, but Gage had some crazy catches. He had a diving one versus Auburn, and then he had a crazy one versus A&M. So Gage was actually a really, really good receiver, and you could see it on film. So let's
jet sweep against Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Gage was insane, and something else about Gage is he throws the absolute prettiest ball. He has a cannon. But I would compare John Trey a little bit more to Russell Shepard.
Okay, I see that. Yeah, I can see that.
So Russell Shepard wasn't a really great receiver. He was a good receiver, but he wasn't Russell Gage level. But what Russell Shepard did was he changed who he was in the NFL, right? So I knew Russell a little bit in college, and even though he was this 5-star recruit, he was always a humble guy. So when he came to LSU, he knew his role, was a great special teamer, and then once he got to the NFL, he transformed himself into being a really good special teamer, and he played in the league 7 years, right, with hardly any unbelievable receiving tape out there. So if John Trey gets in, number one, I think he's a better athlete than Russell Shepard, and that's saying a lot. John Trey's 40 was great. Obviously, the jump is what everyone knows him for. He had the best jump at Pro Day, which would have been the best at the Combine. I think if he goes in with that mindset, and if a team falls in love with him on special teams, he can have a Russell Shepard type of career big time.
I mean, look at James Wright also, the guy from Bell Chase who played for LSU. He didn't get too much PT at LSU, but when he,
it's crazy.
So right. So
I love that example. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely rooting for Kirkland, man.
Me too.
I think he has all of the skills to get it done in the NFL.
Yeah. I love it, man. Yeah, I have. I'm a big Russell Shepard fan. I have his rookie card back here somewhere. I just love that guy. I just think it's so cool. I just don't think a lot of people understand how crazy it was that he was the recruit in America, and he just had the presence of mind to understand, hey, I'm not great at throwing the football. I need to evolve and be a special teamer. And now, he has his own waste management business,
Awesome.
and he's creating generational wealth. He's already one of the biggest waste management people, and I just think his story is so fascinating. So, John Trey, what's very interesting is his football IQ is immense, right? So you go back to the long touchdown that Kayshawn had, which was actually, John Trey's, because Kayshawn dropped the ball too soon, and John Trey picked it up in the end zone.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
If not, that would have been a touchback. And John Trey just has amazing football IQ. So, we all love him. We all want him to do well. He always did, whatever the team wanted to do. And that could take him a long way in the NFL. And what's really good now is just like what you said a minute ago at the USFL. The USFL and the Rocks XFL, there's just more opportunities now for these grinders that were backups to all-time legends to go be successful at the next level.
Good point.
All right. This next story. Daniel, you'll like this. I know you like a little mess.
Of
This
course.
one is um, about a plan that got foiled. So apparently, according to the Boston Globe, Tom Brady, his retirement, he actually there was a plan in place for him to take an executive role slash ownership role with the Miami Dolphins. Um, According to the story, he was going to be in the ownership role for a while and then kind of transition to an on-field quarterbacking role in some kind of fashion and kind of, I guess, trade for himself. And then they were going to get Sean Payton to be the coach. Um, but that plan was foiled because the day after he announced his retirement, Brian Flores put in the lawsuit, the class action lawsuit for discrimination against Miami, the Giants, and the Broncos. First of all, shout out to Brian Flores for doing the Lord's work, and but this story is crazy in itself. And then um, Brady then goes to the UK for a game. I think it's Manchester United with the Glazers, who own the Tampa Bay. He goes to goes there, meets with them, and announces he's coming back from retirement. So this story has all kinds of plots, twists, allegations. I don't know how much of it is true, but all of it is believable.
I'll say this. Who's the owner of the
I said it's true.
Dolphins?
Stephen Ross.
Stephen Ross, yeah, exactly. And he went to
Michigan
what?
guy,
Yeah, exactly. And what Tom Brady go?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan. Yeah. So I'm not gonna say it ain't true. I think it's very believable, and I think that Brian Flores saved some Patriots fans a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
could you imagine the Patriots fans if Tom Brady went to Miami,
Mm.
brought Sean Payton with him, and then went and beat Bill Belichick twice a year?
Bro, it
Man,
sounds like Brian Flores is Batman. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's so
that's
wild.
this
it
is this
really
is gonna
is.
be this is gonna be one of them sports what ifs. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
all time. What if he
Yeah.
would have went to Miami?
So this is what's really fascinating about that is number one, it wouldn't just be playing Brady 2 times a year. It would be playing against Robert Kraft for the rest of eternity, right? So Robert Kraft is like when the Jimmy Garoppolo BS was happening with the Patriots, Robert Kraft was the one going to Bill saying, "What the F are you doing? Tom's our guy." So that was kind of a spit in the face to Kraft, who is a big Brady guy, more so than any other human being, right? The second thing is the Miami Dolphins, just at the quarterback position, now has like the two biggest what ifs in modern sports history. If that would have happened, or of
Drew
course,
Brees.
the Drew Brees
Oh, God.
situation, right?
Jeez.
If imagine how different like our lives would be if that didn't happen, right? Or if Drew went to Miami. The way we view football as Louisiana football fans is just entirely different because of that one decision to go with Dante Culpepper. And what's even crazier is the Dolphins interviewed Brett Bielema for the job back in 2013. So he had left Wisconsin. He was getting interviewed by the Dolphins. And he told them, according to Bielema, it could be a lie. It is Brett Bielema. But
It's
he
a
told
lie.
them, okay, but here's the thing. It kind of makes sense. It makes sense. He told them in an ESPN interview, he said, if y'all draft Russell Wilson in the second round, I'm taking this job. Because he was Russell Wilson's coach of Wisconsin. And they said no. They took Ryan Tannehill. But, Russell Wilson was there in the second round. Could you imagine Russell Wilson with the Dolphins?
Yeah, we wouldn't know who he was because Brett Bielema would have ruined that man.
Hey, so
It's
something
crazy.
else to Carter, to your point. Think about it like this: Nick Saban gave New Orleans their one and only championship by not picking Drew Brees, but then he took all of those championships away from LSU
Crazy.
by not
Hey,
picking Drew Brees.
So check this out. Did New Orleans get a championship? what did it cost them? It's the Thanos meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a championship, and it cost us every LSU championship pretty much.
Right.
And what's crazy is the year that LSU won a championship finally again, you know what I mean, 2019. That was the year that everybody just thought the Saints was gonna win, and then they get robbed with the damn no call. You know what I mean? So it's,
Let me ask you a question. Would you trade would you trade that Super Bowl that the New Orleans Saints won to keep Saban on LSU?
No, heavens.
To keep him at LSU?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
I don't think he's the coach he is now without going to Miami, honestly.
I think
that's a good point. That's a good point.
I don't know about that one.
Okay, so I'll say this. I think it's hard to be like a super big fan of 1,000 teams, right? So I'm LSU football, Liverpool, Pelicans, right?
Okay.
I am also a big Saints fan. So, but I like LSU football way more than I like the New Orleans Saints. And Daniel, in your hypothetical, I would still keep things the same, even if that meant LSU winning a couple more national championships. I would keep it the same.
Yeah, I keep it the same, just like because LSU has won since Saban left. Now, if it would have been a situation where LSU hadn't won since Saban left, I might feel differently. But since they've still won and the Saints got one, I'd rather both my teams have one.
I'll take it.
Right.
I'll take it. But to Pooh Bear's point, I don't know, Pooh Bear. What Saban did for LSU has literally been torn down last year. The system that he had in place lasted 20 plus years.
Well, you got to give Les Miles some credit for that, though. You know what I mean? Because Les Miles didn't come. Les Miles came in and knew he had, he knew he had a good thing, and he didn't completely screw it up. You know what I mean? Now he did. He might have. You know what I mean? But it could have been torn down. What Nick Saban did could have been torn down in a year. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for Les Miles kind of continuing that. You get what I'm saying? So you can't give all the credit to Saban, and you can't, you can't just like forget Les Miles. You know what I mean?
I'm going to push back on that a little bit, right? Les was really good. He won 10 games a year. That's good, right? But you also have to factor in that Alabama wasn't Alabama then, right? During those first couple of years of the Les era, right? So, how great was Les Miles?
Well, was Alabama when Nick Saban was here?
What?
No.
But so I'm saying, like,
but look at the difference. It's Saban. We're talking about now. Les Miles was a great recruiter, a great talent evaluator. But when it came to the processes and to sustaining success,
so tell me this: what did Les Miles do exceptionally well?
Recruit.
Eat grass.
I
like it.
Okay.
It was funny, man.
They talk in circles.
So he recruited well.
Yeah.
At the easiest place to recruit.
That's right.
In the country. Right. Okay. In the world. Now look. To take it one step further, okay, if you want to dive a little deeper into it, all right. So 2011 team's an all-time great team. You got to give Les a lot of credit for coaching that team, but the fact that he could not evolve, the fact that we didn't really come close to winning a championship with Leonard Mother effing Fournette in your backfield. Just think of all the great players that LSU had during the post 07-11 team. Like, we're not talking about just great. We're talking like SEC legends. Like, you're talking about Leonard Fournette. You're talking about Jamal Adams. That list goes on and on. That's my issue, was that the lack of evolving and not squeezing more out of what we had during that time, and obviously not evolving the offense.
That's fair. That's fair. But Go ahead. Well, go ahead. I'll let you
Okay,
finish.
so let's talk about 07, right? The year that he actually won. We all agree 11, he deserved to win it that year. It should have been Oklahoma State. We matched up well against Oklahoma State. There were Justin Blackman, Brandon Whedon, and a bunch of average dudes. We had the best secondary that sport has ever seen. We would have been perfectly matched up and would have won that game. But if you go back to 07, all right, 07 team was a really good team, okay? But they were the only 2-loss national champion ever. The biggest thing that held them back was Les Miles. It really was. It really was. Okay. So if you actually look at the actual season itself, all right, the first 2 games of the year were Mississippi State and Virginia Tech, where LSU played as well as any LSU football team ever did. We blew them out of the water. How come for the rest of the year, they did not blow anyone else out of the water? They did not play dominant football with, once again, a national championship level roster with Glenn Dorsey, Jacob Hester, and all those guys.
Yeah.
In that year, there were 6 separate games where LSU was down by double digits. So the reason why we came back was because Matt Flynn was a cold-blooded mother effer in the clutch. Yeah. And we had a very senior-laden team that found our way to get back into those games. Now, I give Les a lot of credit with the 4th down aggressiveness, but we had to because we were losing. Right. So, that season was more so the leadership of the guys on that team. And the fact that it took something very miraculous for LSU to actually get the job done that year. And, is Les Miles great? Yes. I just think during that same period, I would say probably 8 out of every 10 college football coaches would have found a way to win at least one national championship with what LSU had to offer from 05 to where Les's tenure ended with, which was in 2017. So would you guys agree with that or disagree with that?
I agree with that, but all right, I think we're being a little too nitpicky here. You get what I'm saying? Like
that might be true. Yeah.
All right, bro. The man won 10 games damn near every year, bro. And you can I don't care who you are or where you are, with injuries and everything that comes in with it. That's hard to do. And let's look at what happened with Orgeron. Orgeron won the title, and 2 years later he was 11 and 11. So the fact that Les sustained that, yeah, you could say he should have won more. I don't disagree with you, but the fact that he sustained that success for that long, that says something, because we see how quick some people fall off once they hit the mountaintop. And Carter, I've heard you say this on your show that if Ryan Perlow's on that team, we probably win another national championship. You see what I'm saying? So
no, you're right about that.
We gotta be fair to Les in some of those situations also. So I mean, I feel like when Daniel, when you say that what Saban built just got tore down last year, I think that's a little unfair. You could say he built it, but he built it and then Les sustained it for a period. Now did Les not evolve? Sure. Should Les have gotten fired when he got fired? I don't disagree with any of that. But to discredit Les for sustaining what Nick built that's unfair to Les.
I won't discredit Les for sustaining. He definitely did that. But what I'm saying is, as far as who developed the plan, who started the process, it started with Nick Saban.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with that.
It started with Nick Saban. Yeah. I mean, he built it. They came, Coach Orgeron, Les Miles, they came, and of course, Ed Orgeron tore it down. But that's the thing. Orgeron came and did a little bit better also.
I don't remember the names of the guys that started Apple.
Jerry, just get out.
But I do know Steve Jobs. And I'm just saying.
Jared Denard, though. Hey, if we want to be honest though, Jared did. I mean, he the one who got Kevin Falk to stay. So I mean, that kind of started everything.
But the comment I put up there from Mr. Leonard Stewart, I think he brings up a good point. If Saban started getting that top talent out of Louisiana, that made a big difference. And the example he gave, Cam Robinson blocking for Fournette versus Derrick Henry. But I want to say this.
I want to say, look at that score of the game right now.
Yeah, it's close. It's starting to get close.
Carter about to leave us.
Yeah, Carter like,
I mean, look, we've been going for an hour 40. So look, I enjoyed the fact that we started a little bit later, right? You know, it's so much fun talking football with you guys. It really is. And look, you know, I love these debates about the less years, right? Because, you know, I was at LSU. And once again, Les won a lot of games. I give him a lot of credit, and he provided a lot of fun moments. Now, he did some very, you know, nefarious things. Won't get into that, but you know, it's important to note that, and you know, to add in now with Brian Kelly, Les and Ed just add so much extra pressure on BK now because we know what those guys kind of turned into, and now BK, who's accomplished everything you can accomplish as a coach outside of winning a national championship, you know, there's never been a national championship or bust scenario like the scenario that Brian Kelly's in right now. So it is funny how much, you know, that just adds into the pressure of what he's going to have to accomplish at LSU. But, you know, guys, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was
appreciate you being here, brother.
Card, we appreciate you. We would not be defending Les Miles on this show if it not been for you. So thank you for coming and doing that for us.
It is kind of crazy, man. Because look, I was on the field for the Tennessee game, right? Okay. I'll say
I know. Yeah.
There were some players, they were happy that they won the game, but I swear to you, I've never heard so many what the F is going on from so many different directions. Yeah. And that was just less in a nutshell. That allowing something like that to happen is still, you know, just an atrocity. And there was plenty of more examples of that. That was just, you know, like just the actual most extreme thing. And I remember, you know, talking to high school coaches at the time. They're like, how does that happen? What you have to try. You would have to try to do what actually transpired during that that period. Is still the funniest thing I think I've ever seen up close and personal. I'm glad we won the game. Thank God for Stephen Ridley, and Terrence Stoller. But
hey, CJ McCollum is cooking right now, son.
Let's go. But guys, thank you so much, and
no problem. The Carter, thank you.
Hey, y'all go check out his YouTube page, subscribe and follow him if y'all haven't already.
One of the
Carter,
best.
if you're looking to learn more about the nuances of the game, definitely watch Carter's film breakdown.
And join the Booger Gang, baby.
The Booger Gang. Let's go. No, so Power Hour LSU, once again, if you like this, you're going to like what we do over there. It's just deep LSU football, you know, breakdowns, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, guys, keep growing, keep doing your thing, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
See you guys.
Have a good one. All right.